One of the biggest things that people with high blood pressure have in common is they're on medications and prescription drugs. They are always dehydrated and they have very little salt intake. And so the symptoms out there are the body's way to let you know that it's out of balance, but it's the body's defense mechanisms. Okay? So when somebody is bloated, it's because they're not drinking enough water. Well, they're not drinking enough water because they don't feel thirsty because they have an imbalance where they're not listening to indicators. And so what happens is that then the body with whatever food, whether it's a little bit salty or a lot of salty, that salt will force the body to retain water, and that's called edema. And so you're retaining fluids, so you're bloated. And then what happens is that when people who are bloated from water retention because they ate something salty, they also are taking prescription drugs, and those prescription drugs are inhibiting the prostaglandins, and then those prostaglandins are not able to dilate the blood vessels. So then the body is forced to bring in an antidiuretic hormone that, yes, it forces the person to retain the water, and it increases the pressure in the blood and makes the heart work harder. So salt is the body's insurance policy to make sure the person doesn't die from dehydration. Okay, and that's the thing, is that the body will always have a defense mechanism against anything that is out of balance. And so that's why cancer is an insurance policy until a person just totally ignores the indicators and applies the wrong methodologies, and they don't live through the cancer. High blood pressure are indicators that the person has constricted their blood vessels because they're taking their pills, powders, and supplements and detoxes, and it constricts their blood vessels and forces the antidiuretic hormone to get triggered to then bring up the salt in the body to force then the body to retain the water, so it makes the blood work harder. Okay, it triggers the kidneys to retain the water. So high blood pressure does not come from salt. It comes from the person who doesn't drink enough water and they're taking prescription drugs that inhibit the prostaglandins. Because prostaglandins, when you do the J juice, that releases the prostaglandins and that dilates and opens up your blood vessels. So that's why I'm able to pee more. That's why I lost a lot of the water weight. I mean, some of you have been around me for a while and saw that I lost a lot of the water weight when I first started the Jilly Juice. That was one of the first things I noticed. Was when I first started doing Jilly Juice, I drank a bunch of my juice and I did a bunch of waterfalls and I drank water, and all the water weight, my face stopped being bloated. But I mean, I was going through, you saw me maybe a couple pictures, like pictures from a couple years ago where I was really, really, really skinny. So I was going through, and obviously biochemical change, and I lost a lot of fat and I lost a lot of water weight, but I was repairing the cells at the cellular level, at the micro level. But one of the first things I noticed drinking the J juice in the beginning was all of the bloat disappear. Like all of the bloat disappear, and even the excess fatty acids, excess water. It was really a lot of the water because I wasn't fat. It was water retention. See, that's the thing, is that when you eat salty stuff, if you're not drinking water, the body's going to retain it. That's one of the biggest headaches for people. They're like, God, why am I retaining so much water? Because you're not drinking enough water. You're taking prescription drugs and herbal remedies that constricts your blood vessels because it inhibits the prostaglandins. You're inhibiting your prostaglandins. You don't want to feel pain, so you're taking painkillers. And so then you're not able to dilate your blood vessels to allow the blood go through freely, so it makes the heart work harder. How many of you have heart issues in your family? How many of you are taking prescription drugs in some way, shape, or form? How many of you are diabetic or obese? Well, it's because you're not allowing the prostaglandins to go and open up your blood vessels to allow all the oxygen and all the nutrients to go freely through all of your arteries and capillaries. And then, you're malnourished because you have leaky gut, and you're afraid of the salt because you don't want to feel any kind of pain or any kind of, extra beating of the heart. But hell, let me tell you what, the salt will save your life. for those that have weaknesses in your heart and your lungs, and you're dehydrated. And so, you know, but it isn't just salt alone, it's what it's paired with, because you want to regenerate cells at the micro level. So you have to pair the salt with the nutrients, with the cabbage and the kale. So you get the probiotics, and you get all the nutrients in the cabbage and the kale. You get the probiotics, you get the water, you get the electrolytes. And then you open up your blood vessels, and the prostaglandin hormones, which is the pain process, that actually helps the healing process. That actually promotes the healing process. And vaccines induce the prostaglandins. That's why people get certain reactions from vaccines, because it forces the body to go into an immune response. No different than jelly juice. Jelly juice forces the body to go into an immune response, and it's paired with the right elements. Just simply getting a vaccine will force your body into an immune response, but if you're not backing it up with the right nutrition, this is why people don't survive all the different diagnoses that they have. See, so salt actually rehydrates you, but then you're going to have to deal with water retention if you don't drink enough water or release the prostaglandins. So I completely just blew the holistic allopathic world right out of the freaking water. I have completely tore down the argument against salt. Dr. Phil is not a medical doctor. Dr. Yao Ding fucking sells supplements. She's the one that's on the Dr. Phil show trying to be like this educated UCLA type. Completely uneducated. Totally has an incentive to sell you guys supplements and pills. I have completely blew away the stupid naysayers. Okay? I'm telling you, the salt does the complete opposite of what everybody else thinks. Oh my God, the high blood pressure, it's going to dehydrate you. No, salt rehydrates you. Yeah, you'll look like, the blueberry from, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Some of you who don't drink enough water, and you have constricted blood vessels. So some of you will be retaining water, and you'll have high blood pressure because you don't drink enough water, and you're taking your pills, powder supplements, and detoxes and painkillers constricting your blood vessels. And some of you have diabetes, and some of you have heart issues, and some of you have so many other issues. And so, it's like, hey, fine. If that's what you want to deal with and that's what you want for your kids, fine. But I'm telling you, the medical holistic industry does not have your best interests. I could say that they've created a problem, yes. And I know I took a devil's advocate for them. Thanks, Ron. Because I know that some people don't know any better. And so, yes, some of the 11th hour types of procedures they have life-saving, but that's like me going causing a fire and then being the one to put the fire out. Yeah, you can call it the Hegelian dialectic, okay. But I didn't want to say that it was their intention until I can really substantiate that it was an intention. And I can substantiate that there is an intention to suppress that information at the doctor's office. Because I'm telling you, doctors know about water retention. Doctors know about prostaglandins. They had to have learned that in medical school. I can't imagine any medical school not covering the prostaglandins. I can't imagine any holistic medical, any school not talk about water retention and the antidiuretic hormone that is created to then trigger high blood pressure because somebody is suppressing their prostaglandins, constricting their blood vessels to make the body work harder to get the blood pumped through. Because they got to get water to all the places because a person isn't drinking enough freaking water. But it's not just enough water. It's also stop inhibiting the prostaglandins. Stop taking painkillers. Get off the freaking prescription drugs. Get off the cannabis. Get off all the detoxes. You see, even the detoxes create immune responses. What happens is then people take painkillers because they don't want to feel the immune response, which is the body's symptoms. That is your insurance policy to let you know it's trying to heal. And then you're taking a painkiller because you don't want to feel the detox symptoms, which are really actually the body's immune response to try to deal with that issue. So when somebody goes and gets medical intervention because they did a detox or because they have a tumor, it's because they didn't know that the body had to feel pain and they had to back up the body correctly with the right chemistry to make sure that they can handle the healing process and take it to to completion. But what happens is people half-ass their healing process. They induce an immune response, but they don't know how to back it up and they shut it down as soon as it comes up. People shut down their immune system as soon as it starts getting activated. And that's what the anti-vaxxers do. And then that's also what people who are taking the painkillers and the herbal detoxes and the prescription drugs who also want to mitigate pain and play those games. So I have completely like, oh my God. I have finally fully substantiated my whole protocol, and I've defended the salt, and I've substantiated the whole salt BS that's out there. And I'll tell you what, I don't care if people still don't get this information, because what it comes down to is, hey, if they don't have what it takes to handle this environment and they still want to be on a low sodium diet and they still want to play the pills, powders, and supplements game, and they still want to play the prescription drugs and taking out all of their organs until there's nothing left, that's on them. That is their choice. There is no convincing people who are so dead set on wanting to die. And I've seen some people's profiles that we're all going to die. Well, okay, not we. Don't speak for me. Speak for yourself. So, so yeah. I finally have to admit, yes, we are actively in a world where the medical holistic industry are actively suppressing very pertinent information. I'm not calling it a conspiracy. I would call it that they have a monetary incentive not to really fully disclose everything to you. They have a monetary incentive not to give you the full story. And they could be dumbing you down. They could think that you're an idiot. And that is way an insult to all of the patients that they have that is paying all of their insurance premiums. And so part of me was like, hey, you know, when someone doesn't believe my information and they're at the 11th hour and there's a procedure and they get done, fine, go get it done. Do you actually know if it really saved your life or did it shorten your life? How do you know if it really saved your life? People haven't been going to the hospital for heart attacks and strokes because they're afraid of COVID. So we better have then an uptick in the death of people dying from heart attacks at homes, but I haven't seen that yet. Okay, so if people are surviving their heart attacks and strokes, it means that their body was able to overcome and they didn't need to have medical intervention. Oh, woe is me, says the medical industry. We can't have that. So, you know, I didn't want to believe this. I didn't want to believe the medical holistic industry really purposely suppress this information. But I'm telling you, water retention, prostaglandins, high blood pressure, those three, epipepsis, those are all probably very basic subject matters in medical school. And yet it never comes up in the doctor's office at the patient level. Why is that? Shouldn't you question why is it that your doctor never talked about that when you take a painkiller, it's going to constrict your blood vessels? It's going to stop the blood from going through on an easy basis to where you're going to have high blood pressure issues. You're going to have dehydration issues. You're going to have water retention issues. Why isn't your doctor? Oh no, but he wants to give you a pill for that, a water pill. He wants to give you, I don't know, maybe not a water pill, but he may want to give you some kind of high blood pressure medication. He may want to give you some kind of, who knows, to deal with the symptoms because they want to keep giving you stuff that will stop the pain. But you keep asking for it. You keep asking to be sick from your doctors and your holistic people. It's not just the doctors. It's the naturopathics. It's the homeopathics. They do the same thing. They inhibit the prostaglandin hormone, which it constricts your blood vessels. Eventually, you're going to end up seeing a doctor when you go to a naturopathic or a homeopathic or a nutritionist. You will eventually see Dr. Mercola. Its irony does not freaking escape me. Dr. Mercola is no different than, you know, Dr. Sanjay Gupta on freaking CNN. Dr. Mercola is no different than Dr. Fauci over there. Every doctor that has an incentive that you get their herbs and their pills and their powders and supplements and detoxes all have the same agenda to suppress your prostaglandin. It's going to constrict your blood vessels. You're going to have heart issues and dehydration issues as well as water retention issues. And you'll be bloated and you will be aging and you'll be degrading and you'll end up in hospice because you went to see those professionals. When you go to a doctor who is aging and degrading, that's how you're going to end up. Oh yeah, they can get the cute doctors, the young doctors. But look at the doctor's parents. They weren't born in a vacuum. That's where you're going to end up, just like the parents of these young, cute doctors. So, I'm not trying to be, slamming them, but I just can't imagine this information did not come up anywhere at medical school. I just can't imagine. Oh, but some of the doctors are like, well, I don't believe in prescription drugs, so we'll go the more healthier way. We're going to do the diets. We're going to have you discriminate against food. You can't eat this. We'll call it functional medicine, where they'll do a test to see what you're deficient in or what you have an overabundance in. And then they give you a whole diet plan. And then they'll say, well, here's some supplements. I know of a good supplement. Here's a good magnesium supplement. Here's a good vitamin D supplement. Here's a good this supplement, that supplement. Here, take this root and this extract in. I'll put together some concoction of like these homeopathic stuff. And you just take it as needed for 10 months. And then we'll do another test to see if it's appropriate that you stay on it. And let me charge you about $2,000. And then every doctor's visit is like a $50 copay. That's exactly what you've entered yourself into when you don't understand how your body works and you believe these medical professionals who have an incentive to sell you something. And I know I sound like an anti-government, but no, that is truly what's going on. That is truly what's going on. Because I want to ask some doctor, do you know about prostaglandins? How many doctors on my Facebook know about prostaglandins? How many doctors on my Facebook know about a pepticid? How many doctors on my Facebook know about antidiuretic hormone? Okay? How many doctors know about edema? How many of them? And if they don't know it, what kind of fucking doctor are you seeing if they don't even know about prostaglandins? That these prescription drugs inhibit, that painkillers inhibit the prostaglandins. Prostaglandins, when you release them, they dilate the blood vessels. They open them up so you don't have these heart issues or strokes and heart attacks. But what kind of doctor doesn't know about this stuff? That's what concerns me. Is people are seeing doctors that don't give a shit about you. And that's what, or they're not being taught, or how they don't know. I Google this stuff. I don't even have to go to medical school. I can Google this shit. Look, it's in these peer-reviewed journals. How is it that these doctors don't know this when it's in peer-reviewed journals from the National Institute of Health, from PubMed, showing the relationship between prostaglandins and antidiuretics, and there's already been peer-reviewed studies and experiments. I don't freaking get it. So that's why I'm convinced that, there is an active suppression of this information. Because if I can find it with the Freedom of Information Act through America, and it's easy to Google, and I don't have to pay a dime, how can a doctor who's paying like $60,000 where they have one-on-one training with a professor who has written some of these theses, has done these experiments and done the peer-reviewed studies, how do they not know the relationship between prostaglandins and antidiuretic hormones and heart attacks and strokes and high blood pressure and how salt doesn't dehydrate? That's what is so concerning is that they are flat out bald-faced lying to you guys. To blame the salt for high blood pressure and dehydration? No, it's your painkillers and your prescription drugs that are suppressing the prostaglandin, constricting the muscles, and forcing the antidiuretic hormone to go and pump the blood faster so it can force the blood through and retain the water. Oh, but you're not going to see them say that at the patient level. Oh, no, because they think you're stupid. Your doctor thinks you're stupid. And you know what? When you buy their bullshit, you are stupid for buying their bullshit. And so whatever happens, you can't blame anyone but yourself. And the Dr. Phil show and Oprah and all of those stupid ass TV show freaking medutainment stuff has definitely destroyed humanity and destroyed your family. Dr. Oz is not your friend. Dr. Fauci is not your friend. Dr. Phil is not your friend. Dr. Yaudim is not your friend. Nobody with the doctor in front of their name that is actively ignorant about prostaglandins and the antidiuretic hormones And salt is not dehydrative, it's rehydrative. And if they don't know anything about those specific, like a pepticist, if they don't know anything about that, then what kind of doctor are you dealing with? Ooh, I'm hot. Bye.